Hi, this is Dr. Reddy, and today we are going to discuss about synthesis of nanomaterial. In this lecture, we are going to mainly focus on difference between top-down and bottom-up approach of nanomaterials, as well as we will discuss about ball mill. Right. Basically, what is nanomaterials? So, materials which are in nanoscale range, that is typically from 1 to 100 nanometers, is known as nanomaterial. Now, there are different methods to synthesize a nanomaterial. Here, we have the methods are basically classified into two types. One is top-down, another one is a bottom-up approach. Top-down means we will take a bulk material and then we will make into powder and then we will make into nanoparticles. For example, we use mechanical milling, etching, laser ablation, spattering. These are the methods which are used to synthesize the nanomatter materials in top-down approach. When come to the bottom-up, we will take the small atoms or molecules in a liquid form and then we will do different processes like sol gel process, laser pyrolysis, and chemical vapor deposition, molecular condensation, chemical reactions. So there are different methods. By using them, we will make the clusters. From clusters, we will make the nanoparticle. Right. So when we classify these two methods, one is top-down approach, another one is a bottom-up approach. In a top-down, we will deal with ball milling, thermal evaporation, laser ablation, sputtering, and sometimes this PVD, physical vapor deposition, as well as chemical vapor deposition, also considered as a top-down approach. And when come to the bottom-up approach, we have a thermal evaporation, co-precipitation method, and sol gel process, and CVD as well. Now we will see the difference between top-down and bottom-up approach. So when come to the principle, basic principle is in the top-down approach, material is reduced in size from bulk material. So by considering the bulk material, we will use like ball milling and reduce the particle size. When come to bottom-up approach, material is built up atom by atom or molecule by molecule, chemical reaction. Particle size control, it's a limited control over size and shape. Here, we can control the size, shape, as well as the composition. Then scalability, this is a suitable for large scale production. So top down approach we can use to produce large quantity. When bottom up approach is a laboratory level and a limited scalability is there. Then purity wise, impure these both process may has the issues with the purity, but when come to the bottom up approach, higher purity due to controlled synthesis. Here we will use the controlled synthesis, so it will be the higher purity there. Next one, whenever whatever the equipments we will require, especially in top down approach, specialized equipments are required and cost wise it's a high as well. When come to bottom up approach, it's a simple laboratory equipment. Basically we deal with the chemicals. So in these chemicals, we require precise control. Then energy efficiency. Top-down approach always required a more energy input because we are using ball mills and different types of the mills. For that, we will use required high energy. It's a energy efficient. The example, mechanical milling, lithography. Here it's a sol gel process, chemical vapor deposition, and other things. Next one we will see what is a ball milling. Now ball milling is basically a simple method which is used to reduce the particles. So how we can reduce the particle size? Particle size can be reduced by ball milling. Like this here, whatever we are seeing, like this we will keep the balls and powders. They will continuously collide and they will reduce the particle size. So there are different types of the ball mills, but mainly we will focus on planetary ball. So the model number of this ball mill is PM100, and here the ball mill is used to reduce the particle size, and they have the different part. One it has a rotating base, another one milling jar will be there. Here we can see the different types of the jars and balls as well. Here zirconium jar is mostly used for normal materials, ferroelectrics, dielectric, and other materials. Especially this stainless steel is used for magnetic compounds in order to reduce the particle size. And the balls also we will use same. Here zirconium oxide jar as well as ball. Here stainless steel jar as well as stainless steel balls. We will get the balls of different size based on our requirement. We will use them. So whenever it comes to this ball mill, there is a control panel uh, where we can set all the number of rotations, how much time we have to rotate, and all the parameters we can tune here in the panel. And here it's a milling jar, and here we, based on the weight of the jar, we will use a counterweight here because it's a planetary ball mill. It's a continuously rotating, and this is the cover, right? In the next video, we will see how it will work. Now, we will see the basic description of the ball mill. What this ball mill contains, this is a simply ball mill. This, whatever we see, it's a tungsten carbide balls, and powder we will keep in the container. This is a stainless a tungsten carb we can use. Based on the jar we will use the balls. If we are using tungsten carbide balls, then tungsten carbide coated jar we can use. So basically what we will do is, first its structure we will see, then we will see how it will work, then we will see the video. Now, when come to the structure, a rotating cylinder shell partially filled with grinding media that can be made of steel, ceramic, or other metal. So this is first we have to take the jar. In that jar, we have to fill with grinding ball. We have to keep the material inside it and close it and keep in the ball milling and set the program. Then what happens, that jar continuously will rotate. Whenever it is rotating, inside that jar we have a ball as well as material. So whenever it is moving in high speeds, the balls continuously collide among themselves and with the inner side walls. So what happens, if the material come in between the balls or between the wall and the ball, it will crush it. So whenever it is continuously rotating, it will grind the material into fine powder. And the small ball milling we can do by dry milling or wet milling based on the material we are using, based on our requirement. What happens, whenever it is rotating, as we told previously, the balls will collide with one another and with the surface. In between, what happens, the ball will come and these will collide each other. So that leads to reduction of the particle size. So even though as an outset it seems to be simple, but more precautions we have to take in order to get the finer particle. Now here we will see how this ball milling will work. Right here we can see the jar is weighing there, and the balls we are adding to the jar. Now, whatever the material we have to grind, that also we have to weigh to measure how much weight it is. Right? So once weighing is completed, then we have to keep that material into the jar. And once we mix it by using spatula, and we have to add the liquid to it, that may be a water or ethyl alcohol or methyl alcohol based on our material. The condition is the liquid should not react with our material. That's the main reason. That's what we call it as a disparate liquid. It should not change the properties of the sample. Then what we have to do is, if we leave it sometime, it will get sedimented, means bottom higher particles will be get joined and upper side lower particles will come. Now what we have to do, we have to use always recommendation based. We have to go, what we have to do is we have to use safety closures whenever we are using this one. So there one o-ring will be there. We have to check whether it is a proper or not. Then what we have to do is we have to close that jar with the closure, and in this we have to fix it, that help us the jar to be safe. It should not damage inside it. So whenever we are doing, we have to take care carefully. We have to fix it. Then after doing everything, we have to measure the weight. Once we measure the weight, we have to take it note. Based on that only, we have to adjust the counterweight. It's a 6.3 kg. Now this is the ball milling. This is the panel where we, right? So now keep the jar inside it, and it's the we have to rotate it and fix there, and there is a lock. So it will turn lock, and then we use a wrench to tighten or loosen. For both purpose we will use it. Then based on the weight, we have to change this counter weight. There will be a marking is there based on the weight. So we have to adjust it. Then what we have to do is we have to, if it is required, If our jar is more than 5 kg, we have to add excess weight in order to counter it. Then it should be closed and we will set the program. So the program we will set how many rotations it has to take, how much forward and reverse, how much time, like that we have to set. So once that milling is over, we have to take the range and loosen it and carefully remove the material to out. The jar we have to take it out. Once we get the jar out, then we have to open it carefully. And this is like a slurry where balls are mixed in it as well as the material. So we have to check its viscosity, whether it's a okay. Then what we have to do, we have to use the mesh and that sieves we will use in order to filter the balls and our material. So like our tea coffee filter, we can use it, right? So now this one we have to keep in a machine which will separate easily balls and as well as the material. So this is the machine and we are using the water. Typically we can use distilled water, and then if it's on, it's within 1 or 2 minutes it will make separate. So separately we can get the balls upper side and that solution with that material with the solution type we will get at the bottom. That one we can take separately and keep in oven and heat it, then crush it. So fine powders we will get. Basically this is what initial particle size is less than 1 mm, and if we grind it 30 minutes at 500 rpm, that particle size reduced to 0.7 micron. Right, this is simply sand. For experimental purpose they taken as a sand. Right, this is the procedure. Right, now what are the parameters will affect the ball milling? So basically whenever we are doing the ball milling, the milling time matters. How much time we are setting for milling rotation, whether it is a half an hour, 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hours. So more the time we will keep, more the particle size will get reduced. But it's not unlimited. We cannot keep 10 hours and assume that it will directly form the nanoparticles. So after sometimes the due to inside the collisions and other things, agglomeration of the particles will takes place. That's why we have to optimize the condition. And ball to powder weight ratio, how much balls we are taking and how much powder we are taking, that also decide. Then size of the milling balls, we may have a different size of the balls, different weight, that also will matters. And milling speed, 300 rpm, 500 rpm. RPM stands for rotations per minute, right? Then atmosphere, here we are simply heating at normal conditions, but in other ball millings we use separate environment if we are using dry milling. Then what is the advantage of this ball milling? Ball milling is a simple and cost effective method. It can produce a variety of nanomaterials and scalable from laboratory to industry scale. So large quantity of the material we can get. If we optimize the conditions at the lab level, then we can scale it, and no chemical pollutant. So basically it's a green synthesis, no waste material will come out. And what are the problems with this ball milling? Contamination from milling media, whatever the jars we are using, jars and balls, previously it is not properly cleaned, there may be the particles of other materials that are automatically contaminated. And another way is if balls and walls of the container is continuously corroding, if balls get damaged, that particles will be included in the material. Then energy intensive process, so whenever we are running the ball mills, it consumes more power. Then control of temperature and pressure required. Basically whenever we are doing a dry milling, continuously collision between the materials and balls, particle size reduce, but at the same time the temperature will go on increase. So some materials, if a temperature crosses its a crystalline temperatures or maybe reaction temperatures, internal reactions will take place between the materials, forming the unexpected material. So in order to avoid that, we will take care about the temperature in it. In order to control the temperature, we will use water or maybe alcohols to reduce the temperature in wet milling. Then potential wear and tear of equipment, that's whatever we discussed it previous. Then where we can use which type of the material, elemental and metal oxide nanocrystals we can made, copper, chromium, aluminum ferrite, silver ferrite, ferrite, like that. A variety of intermetallic compounds of nickel, aluminum can be formed. This method is useful in producing new types of building materials, fireproof material, glass, ceramics. So many variety of materials we can use. This one not only for nanomaterial, but for ceramic materials we can use, glass materials, fireproof material, building materials also we can. So that's all for this ball milling method. It's a very simple, easy to operate, but initial cost is high, and there are the parameters we have to take care in order to get the proper output product, and it's more advantageous, it's a scalable quantity. That's all for this session. Thank you. Signing off, this is Dr. Shivnagari. Have a great day.